I was intrigued to watch this film because it started off by someone killing a dog that mattered a lot to the main character. Unfortunately, this was not John Wick that I was watching, but Under the Silver Lake. And it stars Andrew Garfield, and it's blowing up right now on Netflix. It hit the top 10 list. So, of course, my girlfriend and I were looking the other day for what movies we could watch, and it had Andrew Garfield in it. Seemed interesting. The details were all right. So we clicked on it, and boy, oh boy, was it a good 2 hour watch for me. So, my non spoiler take is that I don't know if it's worth your time to watch. The plot was kind of messy, and I didn't really like the ending of it all. If you want my spoiler take, this is going to be your spoiler warning. Spoiler warning over. I thought it was an okay movie. So it stars Andrew Garfield, and his character starts off by being a little bit of a perv. He starts watching his neighbor with binoculars, who's an elderly woman who feeds her parrot without any clothes on. Well, maybe she has pants, but she's topless, and he's just staring at her boobies, which is kind of crazy to start off. And then he starts peeping over at the lake where this girl comes up, and he just starts watching her through her binoculars, or through his binoculars, until he gets a phone call from his mom. And then he answers it, and we see that he's kind of a deadbeat because he's telling her that, oh, like the work day was good and all this stuff. But obviously we can see that he's not working, and the movie makes it obvious that he doesn't really do anything and that he's behind on rent. So he's just lying to his mom. But she's very supportive of him. She wants the best for him. Then after that, his neighbor comes in and they have sex, and they're just talking and watching TV while doing it, which is kind of crazy. The girl in the pool heard him earlier when he got the phone call. So later that night, he goes out and he stumbles upon her dog. So he decides to play with the dog, and I think he gives the dog a treat, but then she comes out to find her dog. They have a conversation. She invites him in, and then they both get high together and just start having fun, hanging out, until a bunch of people come over to this girl's place. This girl's name is Sarah. And so she tells him, like, you better get going, but if you want, you can meet me here at noon tomorrow, and we should be able to hang out. Later that night, he has a weird dream where her dog is dead and something is eating the dog. It's kind of weird. And this dog stuff was relevant at the start because I guess there's like a serial dog killer out there. But then he goes to check up on her, and he sees that her apartment's completely empty. All the people are gone. She's gone. Any trace of her is gone except for a box. So he breaks in, looks in the box, and he finds a picture of her with some things. He takes the picture of her, and then someone comes to take the last part of her belongings and leaves with it. So right off the bat, we're just like left with a bunch of questions like, who is this girl? Like, what is going on? And he decides that it's his mission to go find her. He decides that the best way to find her is by following this girl who came to take her stuff, which, I mean, on paper seems like a good idea, but it's kind of crazy because he follows them like on foot and then by car, and he's not even like conspicuous at all. He's just like right behind them on the highway. And I'm just like, for hours of driving, you don't notice that the same car is behind you. I don't know. I guess one thing critique of the movie was the amount of belief suspension that you had to do. Kind of insane. I mean, I really tried to dive into it, but man, was I asking some crazy questions? Just maybe too crazy, just too much common sense maybe, but I digress. After following them for a little bit, he starts to notice that there are some patterns that are going on in the world, and it quickly changes into like a mystery movie, into like a conspiracy movie, like, oh, maybe there's a greater plot here, something that he's got to unravel and solve and find out. And so he gets in contact with this author of this comic series that he likes called Under the Silver Lake. And you find out through this author that there's a lot of conspiracy going on in LA, which is where the city is taking place at. And that there's a whole lot of hidden meanings, hidden clues that people aren't supposed to see. Only the people meant to see it are supposed to know about it. And this author's whole thing is that he's trying to unravel what all of these different codes mean. All of these hidden details help Andrew Garfield's character find some clues about where Sarah is and what she's been missing. He meets a bunch of different people who seem to all know what some of these symbolisms mean, but they don't want to tell him. They just show him to the next point that's important to the story, and then he keeps unraveling and unraveling and unraveling until at the very end, he gets to where supposedly he thinks Sarah's hiding at. But it turns out that it's just this little cottage with a guy and a bunch of girls in it. And he finds out that through this guy that Sarah is still alive and that she's gone and locked away forever by her own means. And basically the guy, he doesn't explicitly say that they're a cult, but he says that they believe that there's like a greater ascension that they got to go to, and they got to do all this like ritual stuff to get there. Basically, that this place is somehow better than heaven and it's exclusive. And he's taking him and three girls up there with him, and each of these girls is his wife. Andrew's like not having it, but then he says that he can put him in contact with Sarah, and so they go ahead and connect. And you find out that Sarah's actually hidden somewhere in one of these like burial chambers, which is where this group that he's talking to is going to go eventually. The guy in this group tells Andrew before he calls her to try to not upset Sarah because she's stuck under 1,000 pounds of concrete and she's never going to get out of there. So there's no point in making her feel bad for her decisions. But they have like a meaningful conversation with each other. He talks to her about like what's going on with him and how he's not doing well. And she asks him like, do you think I made a bad decision? And he says something along the lines of, I think so, yeah. And you can see that she's hurt by it because I think she knows that she did make a bad choice, and she like sheds a tear. But then she says, well, there's no point in feeling sorry about it now. Like, we just got to make the most of it. And she says something nice to him about like how he needs to get better for himself. And then she hangs up, and he's obviously upset, and he doesn't want to go break her out because that's her choice. Like, that's what she wants to do. It's also like really hard for him to get access to her. That was the end of their conversation. And then he gets taken by this guy who lets him end up living because Andrew's just like, yeah, like I only wanted to make sure that Sarah was alive, and I guess she is. And so he deems that that's worthy enough for him to not die. And then he goes back to his place. He gets evicted, but before he does, he goes across to his neighbor at the beginning with the naked old lady and the parrot. He goes and has sex with her, and then he watches from her balcony the landlord and the police come try to evict them. And obviously he's not in the room, and they're just like throwing a fit about him not being there. But then they see like all of the mess that is left, and there's a symbol left on his door, which was a symbol that we saw earlier in the film, which means don't speak. And that's the end of the film. So right away, I want to go ahead and start off with the critiques. And I guess since we're already on this topic, the ending was something that I didn't really like. I didn't really like how they put the symbolism at the end. I guess I don't really get how it pertains to the story. It just left a lot of questions, and I don't know. He was kind of like overjoyous seeing that the cop and the landlord were there, getting mad and seeing the symbol, but it didn't really mean much to me. Like I didn't feel the delivery or the payoff of the film for watching it. It was also weird because after everything he's been through, he decides to have sex with the old lady, and I don't know. That was just kind of weird and nasty. Then, of course, how does he get to live? Because throughout the movie, there's a whole bunch of people that die. At the start, we see Sarah's dog dies, but then also the guy who's giving Andrew Garfield's character the code, he ends up getting killed. This daughter of the rich guy, which starts this whole conspiracy, she ends up dying trying to help out Andrew Garfield. And then he goes to see this songwriter who's a huge important piece to this conspiracy, and then he just kills him. That scene was actually pretty funny. If you guys are familiar with the Terrifier movies, that was like the most Terrifier ending for someone in a not Terrifier movie. The graphics were just kind of bad, and like, I don't know, just super cheesy part. Anyways, I didn't understand any of their character deaths. Like, what was the point behind it all? Especially because at the end, Andrew Garfield's character lives. Like at first I'm thinking it's maybe it's because they all know too much, but Andrew knows the most now and he gets to live. They just took his word for like, I just wanted Sarah, and they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you're fine. You're never gonna do anything bad. You got your answer. It's just so dumb. Also, there's this subplot with this owl lady who's super mysterious and that she like controls everything. I don't know, but she's the one who ends up killing this code guy, and then she comes and tries to kill Andrew Garfield's character at some point too, but he ends up seeing her and like stopping her from killing him, and then she just disappears from his apartment. No one saw her exit. She went into a room and somehow she just left it. That was kind of weird because I didn't know if we were supposed to see her as like a supernatural character or if she was supposed to be like a real person. I guess I don't understand why she didn't come back to kill him another time, or why she didn't finish the job. It was just kind of weird. And then obviously the whole cult propaganda. I'm really confused if the cult was supposed to be something that was touched on more. It kind of just felt like a weird curveball, like at the end of the movie. It kind of makes sense with the whole conspiracy stuff, but still, it just kind of fell flat, and I didn't really feel the payoff for that one either. Maybe that's just me. Maybe someone else thought Colt the whole time, but that was not my thought process whatsoever. But now I do want to talk about the stuff that I enjoyed. And I really enjoyed Sam and Sarah's ending talk with each other. I thought it was really impactful because instead of Sarah starting to like go crazy and decide to kill everybody that's in that space, she decides to not really regret her decision and instead just embrace it and make the best out of it. And I think that that was like a good message because Andrew Garfield's character was also in a really bad situation. And instead of trying to be better and get help, he decides that his purpose is to try and find Sarah, to which at the end, he finds out that his purpose is kind of over and he has nothing to fall back on. And so that's why she tells him, we just got to make the most of it and try to be better. So I thought that that was really impactful. Every other detail surrounding it, it just, I don't know, again, fell flat, but that part was pretty cool. I also liked the suspense and the conclusions that Andrew Garfield's character makes when he's finding all the codes. I think of all the elements of the film, that was the easiest part to believe that it actually happened, because I was thinking every single time that he like found a clue in my head, I was saying, oh, I bet he's going to go jump to this now and find something here. And he ended up doing. And maybe that's really easy for people to follow just because it's super cliche. But I thought it was really well done the way he did it. Maybe that's also a tribute to his acting, which is the final point that I want to talk about. I thought Andrew Garfield was amazing in this movie. He nailed his character and his lines were incredible. I think if it wasn't for him acting, maybe this movie doesn't even get like the 58% score on Rotten Tomatoes that it has. I don't honestly know how it's that high because I've seen movies that are a little bit better than this that have lower scores. I don't know what they'd be grading on, but shout out to Andrew Garfield. I thought he really put his heart and soul into the role. Even though I didn't like his character's direction, it was still pretty enjoyable, and I felt that he cared and really tried to make the movie stand out. Overall, would I watch it again? Maybe. I do think that this is a movie that makes more sense the second time through just because there's a lot of hidden details that the authors were trying to get you to see. I didn't really pay attention to them much the first time around because I didn't know that that was a case, but looking at what other people think online and seeing some ending explains, I can tell that there's a lot of details that I missed out on. One thing I guess I forgot to mention was this pirate guy throughout the whole film, which I'm still really confused about his role and everything, but I just thought that the idea of the film was really great. The execution of it all, not so much, but Andrew Garfield played a phenomenal role. I'm shocked that they were able to get him for this, but he definitely held that movie together. And I would say maybe it's not worth your guys' time, but if you got 2 hours on a Saturday night and you just want to watch one of those gag movies where you don't really care if it's good or not, put it on. It's worth a try. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.